On this episode of Straight Line Mission across Stockholm, a food delivery guy crosses a bridge, Steve has a scare.
I just had a scare.
And a blade of grass steals his limelight. Welcome back to my attempt to cross Stockholm City in a straight line, or more accurately, within this corridor 100 meters on each side from a straight line. If you missed part 1, why are you watching this? Go watch that first. But to recap, I started at the western edge of Stockholm City at Lake Malaren and wound through some suburban neighborhoods on my way into downtown Stockholm. The irony of winding my way through a straight line mission was not lost on me. I'm only about a quarter of the way to the other side of Stockholm City, and I haven't even got out of the suburbs yet. We currently find me on the top of a ridge looking down into the Alvik neighborhood, an obstacle I had not seen coming while planning the line.
I'm trying to get down there, and specifically, if I can get down to here, there's the bridge. I'm going to be going across that bridge. So that's nice, except there's a big hill that I have to get down somehow. When I said that before that that was the crux, I think I might have been wrong. I think this is the crux. It's hard to see. I think I definitely could scramble down this first bit, but it's hard to see what's after that. Let's go down. Is there any way to get down here safely within 100 meters north or south of my line to that road? I think staying away from the steep cliff faces, I think there might be fewer cliffs if I go this way. I think we're almost there. Ooh. Okay, thank goodness for some soft landings here. Oh my gosh. That's what we avoided. Holy cow. I feel like I lucked out picking the one, right on the southern edge, the one section of thing which was not just cliff. Because if I had come up to that, I would not have jumped down it.
It's not the easiest to see what happened there, so here's an overview. On the top half of the corridor was impassable cliffs onto a train track. I almost had to go to the southern boundary to find a way to clamber down the face of the ridge onto the road. I checked my phone several times to make sure I didn't cross 100 meters, but I did come close. This railway track was an issue in the line planning phase, but fortunately I found an underpass right on my line.
I think this is the tunnelbana, actually.
Low power.
Thank you, yes, still low power.
I'm finally getting into urban Stockholm. I've sped up my progress through Alvik, which is the neighborhood just across the bridge called Tremnebergsbrun from the island of Kungsholmen. The bridge itself is at the very top of my corridor. You'll see why in a bit. It's so far north in the corridor that if I were in one of the cars passing by, I'd be more than 100 meters from my line.
The line that's over there somewhere. I've changed the battery. Hopefully this battery stays because there's a bit at the end which may be exciting. Underneath the bridge. So there's a real technical part coming up. I basically have to cross under a highway, or cross a highway. Trying to fit the bridge and this highway crossing into my plan together was quite, let's just say, a challenge.
To explain this, I'll give you a little peek into my line design process. It was obvious that my choice was hugely constrained by geography. I planned and executed the adventure in one day, so I didn't have time to arrange for a boat. This meant I needed to find a corridor that included bridges. I found a promising north-south line, but decided the east-west direction was more interesting. This meant that I needed to get across Tranebergsbrunn, which you just saw, and across the canal from Kungsholmen into downtown. I also needed to design a line which would let me avoid the harbour and the lagoon in Djurgården to the east of downtown. As I was checking for feasibility, I discovered another major obstacle, the Essingeleden Highway, which runs north-south through Kungsholmen. I found a corridor which just included the bridge at the very north and a sidewalk crossing under the highway at the very south. Because of the lagoon to the east, I couldn't really rotate the corridor to give myself more room. As I approached the underpass, I still wasn't sure whether it would allow me to stay within 100 meters of the line. Let's see.
We are approaching the highway that I mentioned, which, if you see here, this is the big north-south green line. If we had to cross on the road, it would be outside. Oh, excellent. I was afraid that that would be a wall and we'd have to go around it, because I think that we must be only 2 or 3 meters from the line. Like the road there is on the other side of the boundary. But fortunately, we're good. And we're still on this side of the line. I think we'll go, oh no, not this way. Sorry, one moment. Yes, we do want to go this way. I got confused as to which was my line and which was my boundary. Now we have another neighborhood of, homes and such that we want to pass through. We'll have to crisscross a little bit around here. It's interesting connecting all of the different neighborhoods, walking through them sequentially, seeing how they're connected physically is very, very cool. I just had a scare. I opened up my GPS. When it loaded at first, it showed it outside the corridor. And, oh boy. But then it jumped back in to where I knew I should be.
Other than the GPS scare, I made my way through the urban island of Kungsholmen relatively uneventfully. After passing the Fridhemsplan metro station, I took a short rest in Kronobergsparken. I tried to set up some interesting shots here, without much success.
Time to move on. Noticed something later on that I can exploit. It will save me from some walking. But for now, we go. We're still on Kungsholmen, but not for that much longer, and we'll soon be downtown. Still pretty gray sky up there. Heading across the bridge into downtown. City Hall there. This road heads up to outside the area that way. I'm basically on the line here. Central Station trains there. Very cool. Pretty much right on line. Oh, okay. Interesting. So I think if I go up to that street, I'm out. But fortunately, there's a way. Fortunately, there's a way down. to where I want to go down here. I'm at the Orlando Express. Speaking of the Orlando Express, there it is. Now I just properly look like a tourist, which is good.
Apart from a pride flag, this part of downtown Stockholm isn't much to look at. My line had me winding through secondary roads, occasionally crossing major streets.
Welcome to downtown Stockholm. We're at the metro station T Central in Stockholm City Centre. Pretty much the most downtown you can get. So, I'm right at the edge of my corridor here, but I think it might be worth it. What I'm going to try to do is go a couple of stops on the tram. And there it comes. It will go 2 stops in my corridor. There we go.
The 5-minute tram ride wasn't strictly necessary, but it did save me a couple of minutes through the busiest part of downtown and gave my legs a bit of a rest. The tram attendant was a bit curious about me taking video, but didn't have a problem with it.
To 6 now is the time. Pretty sure I started at 3.
Var försiktig när du stiger av. Särskild plattform saknas.
Right. Ah. Interesting things already down here. This, I believe, is Nybrokajen. And it's the start of the strand here, which goes down toward Djurgården, and we are also going towards Djurgården. But unfortunately, our corridor does not allow us to take the strand. Otherwise, we could have just stayed on that this nice tram here. But instead, I believe we have to go up this way.
That's where we'll leave part 2 of my straight line walk across Stockholm. I've crossed downtown and am now about 2/3 of the way to the end. I've made it through a few obstacles, though happily I didn't have to run from any farmers or jump over any barbed wire fences. However, still to come is the greatest challenge of the whole trek, hiking through the woods of Djurgården to the sea. Stay tuned for that in the finale, part 3.